Namaste everyone. Let's start our Thursday class with some prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhavaswaha, Tatsavitravare Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat, Asto Ma Satgamya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamya. Om Sahnavavatu, Sahnabhunaktu, Saviryam Karvavahi, Tejasvi Navaditamastu, Ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Okay, let's open our Upanishad book and Shvetashvarta Upanishad. Started it a couple of weeks ago, and we are in the middle of the fourth verse. The students, they went to this Rishi and asked him a bunch of questions. So he answered a little bit, gave a little hint, but then he suggested to them that you should meditate, because it's not just somebody else's experience. We need to have our own experience about the truth. So when they meditated, what did they experience? That's what's in these verses now. And it's almost like in this verse number 4, there is a metaphor of the wheel, the chakra. So with this metaphor, the entire creation they experienced. The unmanifest, subtle, and the gross, all of it. That's what Arjuna saw too. He saw the whole creation in that form of Lord Krishna, the universal form, in the chapter viśvarūpaikapāśaṃ. So these students, they are trying to tell us, what did they say? So let's look at verse number 4. We started it last week, but let me go through it quickly, what we did before, and then we'll start with the 50 spokes. That's where we ended our last week's class. So this verse goes like this. Tam ekanemiṃ trivṛtaṃ ṣoḍaśāntaṃ śatārdhāraṃ viṃśatipratyarābhiḥ aṣṭakaiḥ śaḍbhir viśvarūpaikapāśaṃ trimārgabhedaṃ dvinimittaikamoham. So they saw. So that means during their meditation, they saw him. And this him is Brahman, God, as a wheel, having one rim, 3 tires, 16 extremities, 50 spokes, 20 fasteners, 6 sets of 8 strengthening it a belt or cord that is single, yet manifold, driven along 3 different paths, and a single delusion that gives rise to duality. That is merit and sin leading to happiness and sorrow. So it's a pretty complicated verse, so that's why we are going very slowly. So wheel of truth, they are calling it a Brahma chakra. This is what they are visualizing. The wheel of creation is understood to be the wheel of truth after meditation. Because truth alone appears as this creation. Truth is the substratum for the creation and is all inclusive, everything in it. And everything in creation is cyclic. Just like a wheel rotates, it moves the same way everything moves. The days follow nights, Monday morning blues come each week, and the seasons, years, yugs. Not only that, the galaxies rotate. Creation dissolves into and re-emerge. But all of this is superimposed on the changeless truth, which is called Brahman. Then he says, ekanemiṃ, that is the rim. The wheel exists within the rim, which alone leaves an impression on the ground as it rotates. So this rim, the nemi, symbolizes the inscrutable, divine, infinite potential power of God. So Brahma is one, ekanemiṃ. Three tires, three trivṛtaṃ, we looked at it, and I told you this, that means the three qualities or the guns of the Maya. Satvikta, Rajsikta, and Tamsikta. Satvikta is goodness and knowledge, Rajsikta activity, and Tamsikta inertia and ignorance. And this can also be understood as Kal, Desh, and Karan. Kal means time, Desh means space, and Karan means causation. Because these three also govern the creation. So whether you want to call it trivṛtaṃ as the gunas or Kal, Desh, and Karan. Then I told you about the 16 extremities, ṣoḍaśāntaṃ. So circular form of a wooden wheel of a chariot is made with the several smaller pieces of wood. So this wheel of truth also has 16 parts. These 16 parts give the shape to this creation. Panchabhutani, 5 elements. Panchgyanendriya, 5 instruments as sense organs. And Panchakarmendriya, 5 instruments of action through which we respond to the world. So altogether 15, and then one more, mind. So 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 1, 16. Because mind is the inner instrument which thinks, feels, and coordinates the other instruments. Okay, so ṣoḍaśāntaṃ. So today we are going to start the class with the 50 spokes. śatārdhāraṃ. These spokes, if you look at the wheel, connect the hub to the rim of the wheel. And that's how the shape is maintained. The shape is maintained while this wheel rotates. So this wheel of truth has 50 spokes. It has been described in Upanishad of Brahma Purana. So 50 is 5 plus 28 plus 9 plus 8. Altogether 50. So first 5 are the 5 misconceptions. Viparya. Sounds strange but true that our misconception and false notions keep the world going. These misconceptions, they can give us untold misery and also described as hell, narak. What are these 5 misconceptions? First one is called tamma. To mistake the not self to be the self. Tamma. Anatmani atam buddhi. That means to think that I am the body. Somebody is asking which verse, it's verse number 4. To think that I am the body which is made up of inert matter is the very first misconception. And tama means the darkness. So this is the very first misconception. Identification with this inert body. The second misconception is moha. That means delusion. From the mistaken notion of the self arises the fascination for the worldly objects. We get attracted to and attached to the siddhis also sometimes, and we'll talk about it later. And we start measuring ourselves by the powers, and we get deluded and enslaved by them. This is called moh. The third misconception is mahamoh. If moh is bad, what is mahamoh? It's a bigger delusion. This bigger delusion sets in when we think that the transient world as experienced is real. Jagati satyatva buddhi. And we get attached to the 5 worldly sense objects. What are those? Sound, touch, color, taste, and smell. And the same 5 objects, subtler and more pleasurable. In fact, we think that in heaven, heavenly abode, will enjoy it more. That is mahamoh. The fourth one is called the misra. The misra is the gloom and anger that arises despite our efforts. We are unable to get rid of this moh and mahamoh. And this is like an anger which Lord Krishna mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Kamat krodh abhijayate. We have desires. Desires are not fulfilled. We get angry. So anger arises from frustrated desires. The more intense the desire, the greater is the anger a person feels. So this is a misconception too. And then fifth one is more intense. Andhata misra. This is like not just an ordinary anger. Andhata misra is the rage, the frustration, the dejection, dissatisfaction. When the pleasures and powers are lost before we feel fulfilled. Sometimes the loss could be because the pleasures or the powers are taken away. Or sometimes it could be our own inability to enjoy them due to disease or death. That is andhata misra. So group of the first 5 is tam, moha, mahamoha, the misra, and Andhata Okay. So these are like 5 misconceptions. Then the next category, this one is 28 disabilities. It is our disability that keeps us engaged in worldly activities and keeps the world moving. 11 of our disabilities are related to the 11 instruments which I mentioned earlier. Okay, 5 Jnanendriya, 5 Karamendriya, and the mind. Okay, so sense organs, action organs, and the mind. So those disabilities are related to that. Like, for example, if the eye may be afflicted by a cataract or blindness, or with respect to the speech, somebody might get impaired with a stammer or a dumbness, or somebody can get mentally challenged. Those are the disabilities. So 11. Then to make it 28, there are 9 type of disabilities which are called atushti, discontentments, which are the opposite to the 9 kinds of contentment, which we'll see later in this verse. And then there are 8 asiddhis. It's like a opposite of the siddhis. So 11 plus 9 plus 8, that is a 28. So we have seen the 11, the sense organs, the action organs, and the mind. What are the 9 kinds of contentment? And the opposite of that will be the discontentment. See, like the spokes of the wheel, the advantages and the disadvantages, the abilities and the disabilities, the understandings and the misunderstandings in life keep ascending and descending as life moves on. The same things in life make us content at one time and leave us dissatisfied at other times. The same thing fulfills someone and frustrates another. A smoker will love to smoke. Non-smoker cannot even stand it. Some are satisfied by collecting things. Some feel peace by renouncing them. The worldly person wants material, emotional, or intellectual satisfaction. And spiritual person wants spiritual satisfaction. So tushti or atushti. People may appear to be content, but the reason behind that may be quite different. One person is perfectly satisfied remaining in a certain job. A person might refuse the promotion because promotion might require longer hours at work, because the person wants to devote more time and energy for his family. But another person might refuse the promotion because to avoid the responsibility. So tushti is categorized on the reason for contentment. So there's a basis for that. So let me give you the 9 kind of tushtis. First one is prakriti gyan, nature. Some people develop the power to unravel the secrets of nature. and revel in the wonders of this created world. That's how the Rishi Munis, they found out, without any instruments, how far the sun is, how big the sun is. The earth is round. How many galaxies are out there? Or even inside the body. So it's like a power to unravel the secrets of nature. Some are fascinated by the study of subjects like geology, physics, or biochemistry. And they will spend years and years in the research. So that's a prakriti gyan, or in English, you can call it nature. The second is upadan, material. So some are charmed by material things and derive satisfaction in possessing them. They are satisfied by the external. If they are wearing something, or sometimes it could be wearing a robe of a renunciate, getting some kind of a tushti from it, contentment. The third category is for tushti is kal, time. Some people are convinced that the right time will bring everything in the life, including liberation. So they say time hasn't come yet. They are content in their belief that time will take care of all their needs. And they think there's no need to strive for it. In time, I'll reach there. The fourth tushti is bhagya, the fortune. So they depend upon the fate, luck, destiny, and they remain satisfied with what they have or get. Okay. The next one is arjan dosha, renunciation of objects and activities, because acquisition of these things is difficult. Arjan dosha. So some feel satisfied after working hard, getting things, and some feel, why not be satisfied now itself? Save yourself from putting extra effort, because there's no surety that I'll get it. So arjan dosh. Next one is rakshan dosh, renouncing objects or activities because maintenance of acquired thing is difficult. Raksha. For example, seeing the difficulty in maintaining relationships. When they see that how many people get divorced, they say, I would rather not marry. Rakshan dosha. Then there's a vishay dosha. Some people, they see the inherent flaw in all pleasures. So they feel satisfied with whatever they have, refuse to strive for objects of pleasures. Next one is a sanga dosha. They say that it is impossible to fulfill all our desires. It's better not to pursue them at all and remain content. Hinsa dosha. In every pleasure or acquisition, there is a possibility of causing harm or injury to another. So some people, they desist from them and remain content. Okay, so let me go through the headings. These are the 9 kind of a tushti, or opposite of that could be atushti. So prakriti gyan, upadan, kal, that means time, bhagya, the fortune, arjan dosh, rakshan dosh, vishay dosh, sang dosh, hinsa dosh. So altogether 9. 8 achievements or the siddhis. The siddhis which are mentioned over here are different from the well-known extraordinary powers. Anima, Garima, Lagma, those. The siddhis referred here in terms of acquisition of knowledge, because knowledge is power. Depending upon how the knowledge is acquired, the siddhis are categorized. The first one is called inborn. U-H-A. Because some people are born with the knowledge or the talents. They acquired that knowledge in the previous lives. In English, we call it a child prodigy. Because little kids, they display knowledge, abilities without having been taught to them. The second is shabd, listening. So some people have the ability to know the subject just by listening. They may not be very literate, but this does not hinder their learning quickly. One time they hear and they understand it. Shabd. The third siddhi in this category is called adhyan, study. Knowledge gained through study and research. So they learn by their own study and practice, constant revision. The next one is Adhi Devik Dukh Vikhata. That means the knowledge gained through forbearance of afflictions. Afflictions which come through phenomenal forces like earthquakes, floods, etc. Adi Devik Dukh Vikhata. We always learn from these sad times also. Adi Bhautik Dukh Vikhata. Knowledge arising out of cheerfully facing the challenges presented by the circumstances around us. It's almost like a criticism by others. Loss of wealth. Adi Bhautik Dukh Vikhata. Next one is Adhyatmik Dukh Vikhata. Maturity and wisdom gained through patiently going through physical ailment. Adhyatmik Dukh Vikhata. When you don't get mentally agitated, when you don't blame anybody else, but you learn from those circumstances. The next one is called Suhrid Prapti, well-wisher. If you find a mentor or a guru who guides us, willing to teach us out of goodwill or a compassion, we get some unconditional mentor. If we are fortunate enough, we can gain knowledge. Suhrid Prapti. And then if somebody does not give us knowledge like that, maybe we'll have to pay for it. That's called a dhan. Knowledge gained through a paid tutor. So 8 siddhis, let me go over it again. Inborn, shabd, listening, adhyan, study, adi devik dukh vighata, adi bhautik, adhyatmik dukh vighata, suhrid prapti, and dhan. Okay, so these are 8 ways we can get the achievements. Then he talks about 20 nails. Vishatihi pratyarābhiḥ. Because spokes are fastened to the hub and rim by nails and wedges and strengthened by counter spokes. So these meditators, they said that they saw 20 such fasteners in the wheel of truth. And which one are these? For our understanding, 5 sense organs, along with 5 sense objects, 5 organs of actions and their corresponding objects. So these are the 20. They keep us well pinned to this world. That's why these are called nails. The ability to see through the eyes and to hear the sounds with our ears keep us glued to the world of TV. That's like how easily we just get fixated. So 20 nails. 6 sets of factors, ṣaṭ. So 6 sets of 8 factors. There are innumerable variety of gross and subtle objects and beings, thoughts and feelings constitute this wheel of truth. And some of them are grouped in 8. So first is prakriti aṣṭak, the 8-fold prakriti. 5 elements, mind, intellect, and ego. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita said aṣṭadha prakriti, right? So prakriti aṣṭak is number 1. Dhatu aṣṭak. Dhatu is that which sustains our body. That's called a dhatu. The physical body is composed of the outer skin, which is called charma, the inner skin, which is called tvak. Then there's a blood, which is called rakta. Then flesh, which is called mas. Fat, which is called medas. Bones, asthi. Marrow, the majj. And the semen called the virya. These are the dhatu aṣṭak. So this body is made out of, physical body is made out of these 8 dhatus. Okay, charma, tvak, rakta, mas, medas, asthi, majj, and virya. Now in this category, there are aṣṭasiddhi, those supernatural powers, which we learn in Yoga Shastra also. Anima, mahima, garima, laghima, prapti, prakamya, ishitva, and vashitva. Anima means the ability to become very small, minuscule. Mahima, ability to become huge. We saw these superpowers displayed by Hanumanji. He could become very small and he could become very big also. Garima, the power to become very heavy. Laghima, light as a feather. And that's how he could fly all the way to the Himalaya to bring the Sanjeevani booty. Prapti, the power to reach anywhere at will. Prakamya, the ability to assume any form at will. Hanumanji took a form of a Brahman also when he first met Vibhishan, Ravan's brother. Changed the form. Ishitva, the ability to command the forces of nature. Bible mentions that Jesus stopped and could walk on the water. Vashitva, the ability to control and influence people. Vashitva. So these are the aṣṭasiddhis, supernatural powers. Anima, mahima, garima, lagma, prapti, prakamya, ishitva, and vashitva. Now, next category, because I told you there are 8 of them. So we have gone through Prakriti, Dhatu, Aṣṭasiddhi. So now the next one is Bhav Aṣṭak. The 4 virtues and the opposite states of those also. Dharam and adharam. So righteous and unrighteous. Dharam, adharam. Gyan and agyan. Knowledge as well as ignorance. Vairagya and avairagya. Detachment and attachment. Aishwarya and anashwarya. Aishwarya means the lordship, and anashwarya, helplessness or poverty. So these are Bhav Aṣṭak. You can see that everything in creation, the good, the bad, and the ugly are part of God. We learned that from Bhagavad Gita also. It is said that virtues appear on the front side of the body of God and the vices on his back. It means that when we go behind the back, that means we ignore him, we commit adharam. We live in ignorance. And we live in misery when we go on the back. Then comes Ashtadeva. 8 kinds of celestial beings. Ashtadeva. Brahma, Prajapati, Devata, Gandharva, Rakshasa, Pitra, and Pishach. So these are the Ashtadeva. Brahma, we know the creative power. Then out of Brahma comes Prajapati. And Devatas, we know the celestial beings, Indra, etc. Gandharvas are the celestial musicians. Yaksha. Yaksha is a celestial holder of the wealth, like a Kuber. And Rakshas are demons. Pitra, they are ancestors. And Pishach. Pishach. Okay. Brahma, Prajapati, Devatas, predominantly sattvic. I'm saying predominantly. Noble. Yaksha, Gandharva, Rakshas, Rajasic, predominantly. They are like a pleasure seekers. And Pishach are tamasic, the ghosts. They are in the nature. Then the last category, last part of this category, Gun Ashtak, the 8 noble qualities. Number 1 is called Daya, compassion. Kshama, forgiveness. Anusuya, devoid of jealousy or devoid of fault finding. Anusuya. Shauch, purity. Anayas, effortlessness, vitality. Akarpanya, generosity. Asapriha, no craving for sense pleasures. And Mangal, auspiciousness or goodness. Daya, Kshama, Anusuya, Shoch, Anayas, Akarpanya, Asapriha, and Mangal. So you see that the 6 sets of 8 factors. So Prakriti Ashtak, Dhatu Ashtak, Aṣṭasiddhi, Bhav Ashtak, Ashtdev, and Gun Ashtak. So this is what I just went through. Now the next thing in this verse is ek pash, one cord. What is that cord? Desire is the cord or the belt of the wheel of life. Desire. Desire is the one which binds all in this world. Cord binds us. Even though desires are many and varied, they can be sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic, but they are all called desires. Then the next thing mentioned in this verse is trimārgabhedaṃ, three paths. So the wheel of truth is driven over the three paths. Some follow the path of dharma. See, we have the freedom to walk on any path. Path of dharma, noble deeds. Some walk on the path of adharma, opposite of that. Yet others, the pathless path of knowledge. They want to just go towards God, into the divinity. Because this last path, pathless path of knowledge, frees a person from the cycle of worldly existence and all bondages of the world. Because otherwise, if we say that we are walking on the path of the dharma, we are still attached. We are walking on the path of the adharma, sure we are attached. So path of the dharma, sure will accumulating good karmas, but it's still a chain. Chain, even though it's made out of gold, it's still a chain. The path of adharma, that's a chain made out of maybe iron and some nails on it too, will suffer. But the pathless path of knowledge, where there's no desire at all the bondages of the world, you just let loose. So he says trimārgabhedaṃ. Then next one he says dvinimittaikamoham, one cause of the two. The reason why people are born again and again in this worldly cycle, sometimes they go towards the higher realm because of the good deeds, the punya karam. Sometimes the lower realms, the pap karam. It's all because of the moh, the delusion. That means the identification with the body, mind, and intellect. It also means that this delusion gives rise to the vision of duality. dvinimittaikamoham, due to which we see the world as different from us and create the distinctions of me and my versus you and yours. So this was the last term in this verse. Now look at it. Let's go back. Because what, again, I would repeat that it's a metaphor of the wheel. The entire creation is described. So through this wheel, as a metaphor, the unmanifest, the subtle, and the gross. You remember in Gita, chapter 7, verse number 12, Lord Krishna said, whatever things and beings that are pure, active, or inert, know them to proceed from me. Yet I am not in them, they are in me. You can go to that chapter and try to understand with the help of Bhagavad Gita, because you have studied Bhagavad Gita so many times, you can understand Upanishad much better. So let's go back to the literal translation that these students, once they meditated deeply, they saw him as a wheel having one rim, 3 tires, 16 extremities, 50 spokes, 20 fasteners, 6 sets of 8 strengthening it, a belt or cord that is single, yet manifold, driven along 3 different paths, and a single delusion that gives rise to duality, merit and sin, leading to happiness and sorrow. So this is what they saw. This is what they experienced. And then now we'll see in the next verse, verse number 5, they will describe this whole creation, which is compared to a river. So this was a metaphor of the wheel, that is a metaphor of the river, and we'll look at it next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Visheshyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.